Hello and welcome back to the Rolball with me, your host, Kieran. Joining me today in the hosting side of things is our previous guest, Mark. However, today on the Rolball, we are joined by someone who has shaped the game far beyond the pitch. A level 3 referee, a level 4 coach, and the referee coordinator for Wales and the southwest of England. Someone who can develop and coach referees above his own level. He's been at the centre of some of the region's biggest tournaments and he's helped bring through the next generation of refs, and he knows exactly what it takes to manage a high-speed, high-pressure game. Please welcome Stephen Dubreuil. Okay, good morning, everyone.
Good morning, mate. How are you? Good morning, Stephen.
Morning, Kieran. Morning, Mark.
Okay, so Mark, you're joining me today with the hosting, and Stephen, you are our guest. So my first question for you, Stephen, is how did you first get into touch rugby?
Well, I started playing what I call rugby touch in the late 90s as part of, warm up for rugby training. And then we played during the summer when there was no rugby on. We'd go down to the clubhouse and we'd play for a couple of hours. It was an excuse to go down to the clubhouse and see your mates during the summer. When I moved to the UK in 2007, a company I joined, they were playing at a touch tournament at the weekend shortly after I joined. We went down and we had fun. I think we had to borrow a couple of players, and it was only those players who managed to score. But we had enough fun that we decided to join a league. So I started playing proper fit rules in about 2007.
That's nice. And when did refereeing enter the picture? So what pulled you into that side of things?
So the league let us play for the first year without having to provide player referees. And then after the first year, they said, yeah, you've got enough experience playing touch now. We'd like you to help out with contributing with player referees. So a couple of us went to the level 1 course. One of them never had any plans of refereeing. He just wanted to understand the rules better. One refereed a few times and went on holiday and came back and never refed again. And then I spent more time. I'd play one game and ref 2 games a night, a couple of nights a week. And that team folded and I kept going. Started going to NTS tournaments here in England. Started getting invited to tournaments on the continent. Went to my first Euros in 2010, and it's just kept going from there.
And then Mark dropped it in the last episode, but he's mentioned there's a funny story how you two met. If one of you wants to run with that and tell us how it happened.
Well, I haven't heard the first podcast yet. It's in my list of things to do, but maybe if Mark starts it off, I'll catch up.
Yeah, so we obviously we were part of the O2 kind of initiative back in the day, and that's kind of one of the main reasons why I think touch exploded in the UK in kind of late 2016, I would say. Like it kind of went a bit mental because obviously England Rugby got involved. And then we were similar to Stephen when we started Banbury. We kind of like started playing a little bit and didn't really have much of an idea, and then it became apparent that we needed to kind of, we were playing summer touch like with the rugby lads, and kind of like there was loads of people, but it was organised chaos. So then I messaged
your elbows,
England.
put in your gum shield kind of touch, yeah.
Yeah, basically, yeah, the studs like metal studs like this, and kind of like broken toes here, there, and everywhere, and just kind of lads the props going in with the shoulders, and like the girls are like, whoa. So we kind of needed to get it a little bit more serious, and then I messaged England Touch about doing a level 1 ref course, and then Stephen's really good at responding to things, right? And I am a pain in the ass, right? I know I am a pain in the ass, but I like to get things done, and we had organised a level 1 course. I think it was in 2017, something like that, or 16. I can't remember exactly when. So we organised a level 1 course for Steve. Obviously, Stephen lives in Bristol. Banbury was a couple of hours away. we had organised to do the course at Banbury Rugby Club, and then they pulled the event from us a couple of days before for some reason. I can't remember exactly why. Maybe there was an event going on, and we had nowhere to do the course. And I was working at a residential home in a village, really nice place, had loads of grounds and stuff, and kind of had a conference room. It was kind of more of a living room. And I was like, I spoke to my boss and said, look, we need somewhere to do this level 1 ref course, right? And is it possible to do it here on the Sunday? And she said, yeah, all right. So you got to imagine, right? This home is full of like older people, some with dementia, some are just old. And a load of lads rock up in a room to do this referee course with Steve. Stephen must have thought, what the hell is going on here? And but we did it, right, and we were out in the garden blowing whistles, and all the old ladies and men were looking out the window like, what's going on here? And it's kind of like we're all blowing whistles, and Stephen's telling us to be in certain places on the let's say on the lawn. It was pretty funny though, right? It was pretty funny. And we had 12 or 14.
Yeah, there were quite a few there, and it definitely had vibes of doing it in your nan's front room. Yeah.
But it was, we did it, and we had a couple of people from Cheltenham come, and a couple of guys from, I think, came from Milton Keynes and stuff. But it was all right, right? It was quite good, and everyone kind of, it opens your eyes to, like, obviously you play and stuff, and then when you realise how complex, although touch is quite an easy sport to play, there are some quite complex rules, and I think for any club, I always bang on about basics and stuff, and it's something that we really drill at the Alligators. But if you've got 4 or 5 people in the club that can actually ref, I think we've got 8 or 9 level 1s, and then hopefully in a couple of weeks when Stephen comes, we'll talk about this a bit later, we'll get some level 2s. It definitely helps your level go up, not just in terms of like understanding the rules, but the players then kind of have a newfound respect for the referees, and kind of, we talked a little bit about it on the podcast. We have a little bit of a problem here in Spain with maybe you've experienced a bit, Stephen, where it's not accepted, but it's quite normal for players to mouth off at the referees. And it's something, certainly within the 6th Art series, we've tried to really like stamp out over the last couple of tournaments. And it is also down to the referees being assertive and having the confidence to send someone off the field. I think that will naturally progress as we develop the referees, obviously with yourself and with Pablo. And there are a good few good referees here in Spain, but there's just not enough of them, like I said on the last podcast. So obviously the poster behind you, you're coming out here in January to a level 2 and a level 1 the same weekend. And I think, first of all, thank you for agreeing to do it. It's definitely a benefit for us as a club and as a series, and for the wider touch community here in Spain. And obviously we're working, you can't see, but the logos of Touch Portugal are on there as well. So we're working with Touch Portugal as well as Touch Spain. So it's all good. But yeah, it was kind of Nana's front room kind of thing with tea and biscuits, right? And sandwiches on the lawn.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of how we met, and then
we
stayed in contact. Kind of stayed in contact ever since, and you've been out here to ref when we hosted La Liga Nacional, and kind of if I ever need a question answering, I always kind of come to Stephen and say, look, what is this rule? And to be fair, you always respond. I know you probably look at your WhatsApp and think, oh, for fuck's sake, but I like to do
that
things
all
properly
day anyway, because you're not the only one. But yeah.
So.
Well, his mark is probably a 5-minute audio.
There
Sometimes.
is that, yeah.
Yeah, mini pods.
Anyway, I'm going to shut up now and let you crack on. But that's how we met. Nana's front room.
And you've stayed in contact since, which is, okay. So, you've put up with him for all that time.
Yeah.
Nearly 10 years, right?
Man, has it? Yeah, I guess so.
I'm not the worst one in the touch world, that's for sure. Maybe one of, but not the worst.
Anyway. One of, definitely up there.
Hey, listen.
At least on the peninsula.
We get things done, right? Yeah, I'm probably not the most popular person in Spain in the touch world, but hey ho, that's life. We get things done, and we're moving things forward, which is the main thing. So I try and be diplomatic with things, but it's quite difficult because I've got quite a big mouth, and but. I'll always give you the truth, and I'll always look at things from a half glass half full perspective. So anyway, right, Kieran, crack on. I'm going to be quiet.
Well, good luck. Okay, so Stephen, Can you walk us through your journey from obviously your first game, as you said, to play in summer, to then becoming what you are now as the level 3 ref, and then also the coordinator for refs and in Wales and southwest of England?
So yeah, I mean, I attended that level 1 course, and those were the days where they had some players come down, and the players would play a game, and you would get out there, and if you opened your mouth and you blew your whistle once or twice, they said, "Yeah, here's your badge, pat on the bum, out you go, off you go." And then you were just expected to go and ref. There was no thoughts of, oh, you're only a level 1, you shouldn't be going to these tournaments. There was, I don't even think we had any level 5s at that point in Europe, never mind in England. So it was very much trial by fire. I had some very disastrous games where I realized I'm not in control of this game. This game is happening, and I'm just kind of here as a speed bump. Um, so so when I do coach referees, I tell them, did anybody die? Nope. Great first effort. You did well. Keep going. The one thing you cannot teach referees is confidence. That comes by doing. And to
100%.
get that confidence, it has to go horribly wrong once or twice. Um,
Mm.
so yeah, I started refereeing at local league, and one of the referees there invited me to come to an NTS tournament. So I went to an NTS tournament, and yeah, there was a step up from local league to NTS, and these were the days where everyone played. Yeah, there was no CTS in those days. It was all teams played in the same division. Um, we didn't really do referee appointments. Finals went to who's still standing, who doesn't have so much lactic acid in their legs that they cannot actually move. So those were the guys that you started to realize, okay, these are the ones to pay attention to. These guys actually know what they're doing. So you learn by watching in some cases as well. So guys like Tace McCurdy, Matt Reed, those guys who were, at the top of the game and pushing it in Europe.
Stephen, can I just ask you a question? Can you just explain the structure in England, how it works on kind of like the levels in terms of like where you are with the rest? Because obviously, like you talk about level 1s here, we've got a couple in the
Sorry.
alligators, and you're right. It's about going out there and reffing as much as possible. Because Lily, one of my girls, is coming on the level 2 course, but she lacks confidence on the field. She's a really good referee, and she's really knowledgeable, as you'll find out in a couple of weeks. But she's very, very hesitant to give like a decision and stick to it, because she gets influenced, especially by the guys. It's kind of like, and I always say to her, make the decision, and if they can't accept it, send her off the field, send them off, or just ask them to leave the field.
So yeah, as I said, it's hard to teach referees confidence. They get that by doing it, and it's through that 10,000 hours myth, whatever it is that they say about becoming an expert. It takes 10,000 hours to do that. It's the same with refereeing. You need to do it, practice it to do it, and get better at it. I tell referees when they're very new that I would rather they made the wrong decision confidently. I mean, obviously I want them to make the right decision confidently, but it's that confidence, that's what tends to get players to back down. And it's by being in a good position and make that you make credible decisions. If you're making the right decision from 20 meters away, it doesn't look as good as if the players are grounding the ball on the try line at your feet and you're in a good position. That the toucher says, well, the ref's right there, how they must see it. So you get less pushback from the players in most countries.
Do you think that the higher the level you go, it's easier to ref? Because I found, like I was talking in the last podcast about, I played in the Nationals a couple of years, and it was fucking brutal, right? The level is brutal at like NTS and regional level in the UK. Do you think it's much easier refereeing elite players rather than the guys in kind of social leagues or like the lesser level tournaments?
A lot of the times elite refereeing is easier because the teams know what they're doing. The teams know that if they don't get onside, they're going to get penalized. So you're not having to manage those players to onside as much, or they understand that when you're saying one no, that they mean you've gone early, whereas the social players don't have a number on their back. So when you're saying mid no, they don't understand who you're talking about because they don't understand their position. Never mind what no means. So a lot of times, yes, reffing elite players is easier. It's faster, but it's easier because they understand where they should be, what they should be doing most of the time. You still get, players who will ask, is that a tap or a roll?
I think that's just a common question for everyone. I think with this, as many times as I can write it down, I'll still forget. But that whole point you're saying they're knowing what they're doing. I saw a clip on one of the social medias, I can't remember which one, of a game between Cook Islands and Samoa. And I think Samoa were defending their try line. The goal made a touch, the referee had blown us for the touch, and she turned around, and actually, I was offside. So they see that awareness at the higher level players, and the honesty as well, that
Sometimes,
they're able to admit. And
yeah. So yeah, that's a good example. That's an amazing example because there's so many players who will try it on as well at the same time. So having that honesty from that player is a credit to them, definitely.
Cool.
So, sorry, Mark, did you have...
No. Sorry.
He always has something to say.
So how did you go from refereeing these NTS series and then to go into the role that you have now, which, if I'm correct, is called referee coordinator?
So yeah, a friend of mine asked me 3 years ago now, if I would be interested in helping out in Wales. They needed someone to help. They were rebuilding after COVID. Rules were different in different places during COVID. So in England, we were allowed to play touch. We had some modified rules. Everyone sanitized their hands before each half, and the ball got a spray down as well. But in Wales, it was not allowed. So it took quite a dip. So they're in a rebuilding phase. So I've been helping with that by providing coaching to their existing referees who have not been assessed, to providing courses, looking at providing more courses again this year because they're trying to get more of their elite players involved, just so that they have a better understanding of the game when they're playing, and so that they're able to help out with some of the junior stuff that they're trying to do, so that we're not having junior player refs reffing at their junior nationals, but getting some of the adults involved and giving back a bit more.
Wow, Stephen, is that the reason why kind of, and I don't want to sound disrespectful towards Wales, because like when I was playing in the UK in 2016, 17, 18, the Welsh were really good. Like they were pushing England like in most of the categories. Is that the main reason why they've kind of fell off a little bit during COVID? Or is it just kind of lack of development, or is it lack of like what seems to be the problem? Because obviously at the World Cup last year as well, it wasn't. I don't think the Welsh teams were as strong as they used to be, and that's not me being disrespectful. It's just my observation and like my opinion.
Yeah, for their population, Wales are quite strong in touch. There are competing factors with when we had the O2 touch. That, as you said, it was part of the legacy for the 2015 World Cup. So that was for the Rugby World Cup. So that was part of their building of grassroots rugby by getting participation numbers. They didn't have that as much in Wales because the WRU have a slightly different relationship with the WTA. It was a bit strange during COVID because rugby teams were allowed to play touch, but touch teams weren't allowed to play touch because it was seen that touch was less contact than contact, so it was something to keep them going. But for some reason and I don't understand why the WRU were able to say what the WTA did, but that was my understanding of what was going on in Wales at the time. So there wasn't really any touch happening, even though we were still able to play touch in England.
Right.
With
We
as I say,
we had rugby, like contact rugby here with face masks. It was fucking mental. Like you had props in scrums with face masks on. Like you've never seen anything so ridiculous. Like it was
yeah,
mental. Like, and you just think like, who come up with these rules and regulations? It was just insane. But you know, I remember
yeah,
Gareth Revel. I spent the weekend with him with the Scottish Mixed Open team. He was unbelievable, right? Unbelievable player, really good coach, and kind of like some of the players back in 2016 to 2018 from Wales were really, really good. Obviously, the Welsh Mixed Open pushed to Scottish Mixed Open all the way in the Euros and stuff. It was kind of, but obviously it's the same with rugby in Wales, right? The rugby is struggling a little bit in Wales because of for different factors and stuff and money, and it's hard, right? It's hard. It's really hard.
yeah. The junior program in Wales is doing really well at the moment. They're getting lots of young players out playing touch, and they're getting good results at
Amazing.
Atlantic Cup and at Youth Euros. So yeah, so there is, going forward to the future, there is still good things looking to come forward. So it's
Perfect.
a lot of rebuilding going on
It kind of
in
goes
Wales at the
around in
moment.
circles, right?
Yeah, I
We
mean, unless you've got someone to drive it, things can slow down a bit.
yeah,
It's hard.
we have a fundamental problem here in Spain with the juniors. Like, there's very, very few juniors playing. We've got
Non-existent junior
we,
teams.
yeah, we haven't got any junior teams here. They might have one. I think they have one kind of in Montseny in Barcelona, where they have got a
I think,
group
yeah, I saw
of
that someone else has posted recently saying that they're starting a juniors, but
yeah, but it's very difficult because we've got three juniors in my team that potentially, like, well, two of them certainly at a slightly older age than the other one. Two of them have got all the ability, but it's kind of it's a struggle for Montseny as well, because like Barcelona is what, an 8 hour drive away from where we live, and it's okay asking juniors to train and come to train, but if you keep training and training and training, and then there's no competition, the kids go, "Oh, I'm going to play paddle or football and stuff," and it's something that we've kind of fell off the wagon a little bit in terms of like here and specifically here in Spain compared to like the other nations. And obviously you've got a much bigger structure in terms of like rugby here is a minority sport in Spain. It is growing, but it's very difficult to get kids like juniors under 18s to come and play and then say sorry, but you can't play, and it's kind of like there's no competition. It's very difficult. It's really difficult to keep them interested, but we try.
Yeah, I mean, some of the clubs in Wales do have a junior section, and we revived the junior nationals in Wales last year, so that's helping drive junior participation. We're looking at expanding Touch Fest, which we've done the last couple of seasons. Where this year we're adding Touch Fest Junior and Touch Fest
Amazing.
Social on the same day, so they'll be playing on the opposite day from the Touch Fest, so that we have they can see the elite stuff happening on one day and then go play themselves the next day. And we'll be mixing that up, whether it's the elite on Saturday and then the junior and social on Sunday and vice versa.
Because the level of or I'd say the kids, the juniors in the UK, some of the kids are just different level, right? They're on a different planet. Like, they're so technically good, and just kind of like the Atlantic Cup that they played with the juniors. For the junior Atlantic Cup, I can't remember now, whatever
Yeah,
cup it was.
yeah.
The
Youth
level of like
Atlantic
the
Cup.
lads and the girls, wow! I was like, wow, these girls and boys are unbelievable, right? The skill level was unbelievable, and that's
Yeah,
credit to, like, obviously first of all the players, but obviously the coaches and the referees developing the kids. And there's kind of, sorry to interrupt you, Steve. We've kind of got a little bit of a mentality here where like touch is seen as a shit sport, and like, oh, it's touch is shit, and it's just
It's not real rugby. Is
it's
the
not real
excuse
rugby
for the reply we get?
because it's not rugby. That's the problem, and
Yeah,
people don't know and understand to differentiate between playing touch and rugby. It's a completely different
I
sport.
think touch is a great sport, especially for these youth, the youths, so guys between 13 and 16, 17, when they're all still changing, and a lot of them shy away from sport because, especially if they're doing contact, they're like, I'm now smaller, or I'm 10 times bigger than everyone else, and I'm going to get hurt, or someone else is going to hurt me. Touch is the best answer for it. You're still doing a sport related to what you've done, but you're just taking away that contact and physical element of it, making it a lot more technical. And I think it creates better sportsmen, or more all-rounders, rather than, yeah, you're a big lad, so you can just truck it out the middle.
Yeah, because they stop playing it mixed at junior level at a certain age, and you can still keep them playing mixed in touch because you're not having the same body size mismatch. So it's a good sport that way because you don't need enough to have a girls team and enough to have a boys team. You can have a mixed team, and that would be enough players to run it. I think that's one of the best things about touch is the ability to play it mixed. There's very few sports where that happens.
100%. I would agree with that.
Okay, so let's go. I'm going back to some of my questions here.
Yeah.
You've answered a lot of the questions about best way for referees to, or the most important quality for referees, confidence and things like that. So I have two more questions along those lines that are going to differences between the high level games and local league. But I've got two questions here. So, what would be the worst way to improve as a referee? What's the worst thing a referee can do that's going to hinder them developing?
I suppose the worst thing for referee development is only reffing at local league, because you will only get as good as the average player in that league. And the other would be reffing too long in a session. So if you're reffing 2 hours a night, just straight reffing, you're going to be making poor decisions because you're going to be tired and not. And by that I mean solo reffing. So you're not getting a break. You're not getting to recharge at all. So if you're doing 2 hours of solo reffing, you're going to be making poor decisions and not getting good outcomes from that. So that to me would be the thing is to look for that next higher level of playing, and you might not be ready for it, but if you're willing to suck it and see for that steep learning curve, and refusing to solo referee and refusing to ref, an extended period of time.
Brilliant. And then final question on this sort of thing. What is the biggest What's the biggest misconception players have about referees?
That the biggest misconception I think is that we care about the outcome. The number of teams that seem to think that the referee cares about the result. I don't have time to think, oh yeah, if I give this score, then that team will win. I don't like that team. It's just I've seen the ball on the ground. I'm awarding that try. I won't say that referees don't have biases, but I don't think those biases are, I don't like that team. I hate all teams equally. So I think that's the.
You're going to love it when you come over in January then.
Yeah, I'm very aware of the Iberian passion for touch.
I think it's going back. We said before, it's the football mentality here.
A little bit.
Some of it, yeah.
Whinge at the refs.
Yeah,
a little bit.
I'm guilty of it. It's myself. When Mark referees,
100%.
Normally banter, but there's a bit of venom in there sometimes.
Yeah, but I understand
Mark
that.
blows
I've seen
against
Mark
it.
referee, so you should argue with what he's saying.
Yeah, he's only 20 meters behind the game.
Yeah.
Do you know where I'm actually saying that? To be fair, I'm not a very good ref. To be
You're
honest.
going to edit
I don't
that
like
out, by the way.
No, leave it in, mate. Abuse me all you want.
This stays in. This is the highlight clip.
Not a problem. I remember.
This is the goal that our fans came for. Our
100%.
Threw him under the bus last episode and clipped that for a couple of views.
So I was. We'll go back to this topic. I was talking about the after party. They call it the tercer tiempo here, and I'm not a big fan of paella. Like it's just not for me. And this git
Is that because
here,
they don't put chorizo in it for you?
no, I don't like it, mate. It's just not for me. And this git here stitched me right up on Instagram by clipping out saying I hated, like, more or less I hated the traditional Spanish dish on Instagram, and just like fucked me over. But it's fine, I don't mind. Anyway, so going back to what you're saying, yeah, kind of. You know Jen from Valencia, Steve. You know Jen quite well. She's a brilliant referee, by the way, like brilliant referee. And we were refereeing a tournament in Madrid, and I was there refing full time, and she was brilliant with me that day. That's the first time I've met her. I've seen her play a few times, and she was kind of like, just do this and do this correctly, and make sure, because I wasn't standing in line with the defense. I was too far back. He said, just come with a defence all the time. And I kind of kept that with me as today. I know she's not involved with touch as much as she used to be, but she's probably
Yeah, I
one of
mean
the best.
her rugby, her union refereeing career has taken off. She's doing amazing stuff with that. So yeah, so and the Seven Circuit as well. I think she helps out quite a bit with the local sevens in Spain. But when she does turn up for, and I think some of that is, when you are reffing as a level 5 black badge in touch, you need to be reffing high level touch. You can't just go down to a local park and expect to keep that edge by reffing social touch.
Yeah, I agree.
So that's some
I
of it.
agree.
Is there's not a lot of high level touch around for her to be keeping her edge. So she's got to travel to do that, and it's still a user. Even as a referee, I'm still paying to go to Euros if I'm refereeing. I'm getting some subsidy from a player levy, and the union, the sorry, not the union, the NTO might be kicking in some as well to support, but I'm still paying to go to that high level competition.
Yeah. I think that's a fundamental. We have a similar problem, and I talked about on the last podcast that there is a shortage of referees, and it's kind of, we can blame this, that, and the other, and kind of, let's focus on the future. And like, if we run a tournament here, you have to allocate, probably, if you want to do it properly, at least 5 to 1,000 euros just for referees, right? And it's insane. And I understand it, because, I used Eric as an example from Barcelona, who, if we fly Eric from Catalonia to here, put him in a hotel for 2 days, that's 300 euros just for one referee. And then you got to include food and stuff in that. And then obviously Pablo now lives in Madrid, so it's not so far away, but it's really and obviously flying you in January is a cost. It's not a problem. We'll invest in it, and it's not a major issue, because short-term pain, long-term gain kind of philosophy. But it's a difficult one. Portugal seem to have a good handle on the referees at the moment. They seem to be doing some good things with the referee development.
Yeah,
Obviously more so in January when they do the level 2s. But yeah,
spent 10 years working with Felipe and his crew to get them to the point where they're almost self-sustaining with referees now.
Pretty much. And a lot of the Portuguese are coming across the peninsula to referee in, like, what they call La Liga Nacional here, because we just don't have enough referees. And we have 3 or 4 good referees, or really good referees here. We're just not enough of them. It's a problem, but we'll get there.
Yeah, for each team that's entered to a tournament, you need 1.5 referees, or the tournament doesn't run itself. Then you're relying on player refs to pick up that slack.
And that's the problem we've got with 6 starts at the moment. We're relying on player refs, and kind of we're probably killing people, and playing player ref, but we're not at that stage yet where we can be self-sufficient. We will be eventually, but it's just
teams early
step.
in their development. It's the same person who's coaching, who's organizing, and who's doing their player reffing. That person burns out, and to a certain extent, the other players don't want to step up and help, because they don't want to get pigeonholed as being that player ref, because they see that one person is then playing reffing all day. Whereas if 5 people did it, you're playing reffing, you're playing your resting, you're playing your resting. You're doing one reffing slot instead of all of them. But it's getting it through to the players that just by volunteering to help and referee for your team, you are not going to then end up doing all the refereeing. It's about sharing that load. We get quite a few people who come to a big tournament. They've not really they've come to ref because the team that they would have been there playing with hasn't entered that year. So they said, well, I still want to go to that tournament, so I'll go and I'll ref. And they go away from the tournament having not thinking that they weren't going to be part of a team, and walking away realizing that they're part of the biggest team going in Europe.
Yeah, because essentially without referees, we're all fucked, right? We can't run tournaments. That's the be all and end all of it, right?
Yeah, and it takes you have to build a good product, and some of that product is the quality of the games on the pitch, but it's also, as you say, that third half of the after party. In some ways, in England, we've moved away from touch being social. It's you go to the tournament, you go home. There's no camping at the pitches. There's no party after. Some people are having to play the next day because we've got a Saturday, Sunday tournament schedule where we've got Div 1 and 2 on Saturday and Div 3 and 4 on Sunday. And you've got some people who are going to ref one day and play the next, or vice versa, depending on what their club have entered and what their goals themselves are, because they need to be, if they're going for level 3 referee at Euros, they need to be seen at a certain number of level 2 tournaments to get an endorsement from an appropriate level coach to go and do that. So it takes a bit of time. So it's in some ways it's less social than it was.
But I suppose it's about balance, right? Like I'm not that bothered about the third half or the beers afterwards. I'm really not. I'd rather just play and go home. But
so you don't like Spanish beer either? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Don't sit me up, man. Get off my case, man. No, it's fine.
Will
they not do a shandy in the clubhouse? Do they know what a shandy is?
Yeah, no, probably not. But
it's a rattler.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of like it's a little bit what we're trying to do with the series here. We send out a survey after every round. Obviously, we're a year and a half into the project, and every single round the survey comes back. The problem: referees.
It's the same four. Same four that end up doing it, and they end up playing all day. The last game they get to, they're knackered.
Yep.
And they just,
and that goes to what I was saying about developing referees. If you've played at a tournament all day and you're now reffing a final, you're going to make poor decisions when it really matters to teams. You're at the pointy end of the tournament and you're knackered.
That's why we lost. That's why we lost against you, Mark, because Andy was shattered, making poor decisions.
Yeah. All right. Maybe he just doesn't like it. Do you know what it is, Stephen? We're so the Alligators have suffered a lot over probably 3.5 years of coming last and not doing so well. But now we've started to win a few tournaments. It's kind of like we've got a target on our back because we've won 2 out of the last 3 rounds, I think, and then we came second. I don't know, something like that. And but it's took a lot of hard work. It's the same. It's the same I spoke about in the last pod. Is it good that England dominate, your touch in Europe so much in terms of the categories? And maybe not from a competitive point of view, but you certainly can't criticize the work that has gone into developing touch in England and around the UK as well, because Ireland and Scotland and Wales have got decent teams as well. So you can't criticize that a nation's moved forward so much in terms of the level of, and I think the gap is definitely closing on the Australians and the New Zealand at elite level. There's still a little bit way to go, but if you look at the World Cup, there was definitely the gap is definitely closing. Lebanon were really good. The Lebanese teams were really good, and so you can't criticize. Yeah, you can't criticize the work ethic and say, oh well, England are so far ahead or the Scottish teams are so far ahead, because the work that goes in behind it is kind of pushing that bus in the right direction. So it's kind of it's a difficult one, right? It's a difficult one. But I don't know.
Yeah, anyway. And we're getting more teams in Wales that are going, and so they'll go and they'll play in the Div 3, Div 4 tournament in England and get that experience of playing other teams, because it is a small handful of clubs that they're playing against, and a lot of them they're playing against them in local leagues as well. So they're not just seeing them at the Welsh Touch tournaments, but they're seeing them at local league week in and week out. So it gives them that broader experience of seeing other players and other setups when they travel to England. And I think, having England have a strong setup, it gives other NTOs an opportunity to either send their refs for development or send teams if they can find a way to do that and get additional exposure to playing at that level. But it's expensive when it's a user funded system. To be traveling to England every other week is not feasible for most NTOs. Scotland send teams one or two
Funny
teams.
you should say that, Steve.
Yeah.
One of my girls, Lily, who's doing the level 2 course, she was asking me about that on Wednesday night. She said, I think Pablo, our lead ref here in Spain, has told her that she should probably go and referee in England or in Scotland or Wales or France or somewhere. And she's like, well, but who's going to pay for my travel? Like, that's the problem, right? It's kind of, and it's the same with the 6 stars. It's okay if we spend 50% of the budget on referees, but then we've got to cut the budget somewhere else, whether that's with the food or the beers afterwards. So it's a real difficult balance to see things. But whereas so here in Spain, you have like the La Liga Nacional. There is no second division this season. You have like a quite a well-organized league in Madrid that's not organized by Touch Spain. That's organized by the Madrid Rugby Federation. Same as Catalonia. That's also, they have their own league in Catalonia, but that's organised by the Rugby Federation. So, so we're at Six Stars. We're trying to bridge the gap between the top league in Spain and giving developing clubs a platform to play. That was the whole idea of the Six Stars series. And I think it's fair to say, Kieran, it's going quite well, right?
Yeah, it's brilliant. We've seen teams, for yourselves are an example that, when we first started these things, you were coming last or penultimate, and then now over a year you guys have developed enough with just enough exposure and game time to go out and win these tournaments.
For now,
I think it's grown the sport. We've added Soria joined and started a team and joined us. The Arquitecturas, another one from Madrid, are joining us. They're developing. Another local team here started. They're going to be joining us soon as well. And it's rather than throwing them in at the deep end, playing in the National League against the teams that win year in year out, and play in other leagues like the Madrid and the Catalonian League and have experience. The best thing about this Six Stars is we all play each other. We all develop against each other. Yes, we might end up with the same results against certain teams, but the newer teams always end up with experience.
Yeah,
with the shorter games as well. Yeah, with the shorter games as well, it means we don't have massive disparity in the scoreboard.
Yeah, you haven't got enough time to run it up. But nobody learns from smashing it, from it. Neither the team smashing 20-0 or the team getting smashed by 20 points. Nobody learns anything from that. So having different tiers for teams to develop they might get smashed 12-0 instead, but it's not as demoralizing as being completely outclassed in 20 minutes, because you don't gain any confidence by doing that, and you just need to learn to take the time to do those simple things, as you say. If you can work through your basics, then keeping the ball, driving it up, giving your team the best opportunity so that you're not turning over the ball in your half and having to defend only half the pitch instead of having the whole pitch to defend a set of 6 against. So just getting to 6 touches sometimes.
Yeah.
Teams develop. Sorry, I was just going to say teams develop, the first development is getting to 6 touches, the next is getting to the 7 meter. then from there it's figuring out how do I break down a defending team. You've got to work through those steps to get to be an elite team.
100%, yeah.
It takes years, right? It takes years to become really, really good, and just kind of like you'll hear me say basic skills about 50 times every training session because I'm constantly on it with the team. Like, just execute, keep the ball. Even if we don't score, just keep the ball and control the game. Because if you've got the ball,
if you've got the ball, they can't score.
Exactly. And just kind of we some of my players kind of like to run sideways and laterally, and I'm like, just go straight and make the touch, just plant the ball, make the touch, just keep the ball. I don't care what you do with it, just keep the ball and don't give it away and don't turn it over. And then kind of generally your results are generally speaking good. But
Saying that, going back to playing rugby touch, we would play with unlimited players. If we had enough for 4-on-4, we'd start on half a pitch, and then when we got to about 7-on-7, we'd play the whole pitch, and then when it got to about 15-on-15, we'd split it back into 2 games, kind of thing. But we had one player who would always run laterally, and he'd run across you one way, and then he'd run back the other way, and you wanted to trip him yourself just so they'd get a touch, so that someone else could get the ball. But yeah, I know your frustration about players running laterally as opposed to just drive it until you're out of your half, then do something stupid with it.
Yeah.
Also, when they do here, often a lot of teams you see walk backwards.
Oh,
it's just something I don't know where they've learned it from. We'll take the ball, we'll take 2 steps back, and then another. And by the time they realise they're back in their own half, just slowly tracking back. I think they've seen high level players do it, but the high level players do 3 or 4 steps backwards and then pounce forward.
Yeah, it's about that change of pace. Yeah. And sometimes I think they're doing it not because they've seen elite players do it, but because they're trying to give their development players time to figure out that they need to get behind so that when they do make a touch, the ball's on the deck for a short period of time instead of forever.
Mm.
And the defenders are shooting. Go ahead.
I was talking to Kieran about the last pod about the difference between playing kind of like, so for example, back in the day it was DTS and then going to the regionals. And I said to Kieran in the last pod, it was just the speed of the guy. Well, I was playing men's 35 at the time. We played the Southwest Saxons in 2018, I think it was. And it was just brutal. Like, my eyes were just open. The speed of the guys, and the ball was down, bang, it's gone. I was like, where the fuck is he gone? And it's relentless. It's just relentless. And it's just basic skills, right? They're just really good at executing. When they drive, they drive so fast, you don't even know your arse from your elbow sometimes. It's kind of like, but,
It's about the ball carrier not trying to get through the smallest of gaps. That's not really a gap in touch. It might be a gap in union because an outstretched arm isn't enough to stop someone galloping down the pitch, but in touch it's enough, and you've overrun. You've not dumped the ball at where it is, so you've given the defense time to reset. It's about having that discipline of driving at space to keep them off balance, and getting the ball down and back up as soon as possible. So it's the person taking responsibility not to be calling for a pop pass so I can score. It's about accepting that space is not yours. It's about driving hard and making space that's proper space, not just the perception of space.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Final section before our quick fire, just some stories and insights from your experience, Stephen. So what is the best game and what is the worst game you've ever refereed?
Dish the dirt, Stephen, because you killed me today. So dish the dirt. We want names. We want clubs.
Worst game would be any game against you.
We want it all, right?
Oh, I avoided Mark's team like the plague. No. Best game was probably final. So the only finals medal I got was between Euros when we did the permits. Were you around for that, Mark? So we did a year where we did permits. So England sent 3 teams to the elites, and then there was a second tier. It was in France. Anyway, it was that. I was appointed to the final with a French referee and a Scottish referee. It was the one and only final I've done. That was when I was at the top of my game, and that was a few years ago now. Worst was a park level game in New Zealand. I'd had issues with the team the week before.
Name names. Come on, we want team names.
Dude, it was 2012. I don't
Okay,
remember.
all right, yeah.
I don't remember the teams I refed last week.
Just make up a team and we'll start some sort of internet beef.
It was a family team. They all were related to each other, and so the week before, every time that I blew my whistle, they were getting penalized for something. This time, I was not giving them a penalty. I was giving a penalty for them, and player said, "What now?" And I said, "Well, look at my arm. I'm giving you the penalty. Just shut up and play. You can't speak to me like that," and threw the ball at me. So I canceled the game at that point. The following week, same team. They one of their players took exception to the touch. He went into the touch in a weak position, and he got dumped on his ass, and he took exception to that. He wanted the heavy touch penalty, which was not forthcoming. He was off balance. That was all down to him. So the next time the player he was aggrieved with got the ball, I saw it coming, and there was nothing I could do about it. He came in and he cleaned him out. Both sidelines came in at that point. I learned new compound words I didn't think you could put together with each other. Yeah. I had no control of that game. That's when I have a bad game, is when I realize I'm not in control of this game. I'm not adding any value here. So yeah, that was my worst game.
That leads me nicely onto what would be the trickiest scenario. I'm going to start again because I messed up that question several times now.
Don't edit it either. Don't edit it.
No, yeah. I'll get like when you dropped your phone last time.
Yeah. We're going raw, man. We're going raw.
Yeah. I'm only human. What's the question again? What's the trickiest scenario Kieran. A ref can face in touch?
If you want to become better than human, you should become a referee, Kieran.
Absolutely.
Sorry,
I did my union course years ago.
Okay.
Never again.
Can you repeat the question, because I talked over you?
No, it's all right. It's all right. What's the trickiest scenario a referee can face in touch?
The trickiest scenario would be so we tell referees that they have to read play and anticipate what's happening. And at the elite level, when you have to watch what's happening in the backfield, see the playmakers, and know where that play is going. Because if you wait until the ball is passed before you go, the ball is going to go quicker than you, and you will not get to the grounding. The worst thing for a referee is you've read that play wrong, because we tell them that you have to read it and go. And if you go, you have a good chance of getting there to see it. If you go and you've guessed completely wrong, you're nowhere near the grounding. So you're even worse than if you had stayed flat-footed. Yeah. So that's the thing, is trusting that you've read it right and going and getting that call, because you're in that credible position to make that call as the ball is being grounded, that the touch was first or the ball was down first, or the player was, there's less emphasis now on managing the players to onside. You still have to know if that player's onside or not, but there's more emphasis on them managing themselves to onside. So were they onside when they made that touch? Are we ignoring the touch because they're offside? Are we going with the grounding? So that's the trickiest thing, is having to look at all of those things all at once. Which makes it a good challenge.
Stephen, can I just ask you a question quickly? Sorry, Kieran.
6 touches and then it's a change of possession.
Right. No. Listen, I know the basic rules. I can't get onside, and I'm useless at hitting the line at the try line. So when you
Both
ref,
feet.
do you
Yeah.
So, all right, just kill me again. It's fine. When you're reffing and the team are attacking the 7 meter line, and there's a decision that you're not quite sure about, would you give so maybe you can't see the touch, but your side judges are kind of going, I'm not, the side refs are not sure either. Would you give the advantage to the defending team or the attacking team? What a question that is, eh?
It would probably be the positive play of the attacking team. I mean, but I would like to think that as a team, the three referees are working well together enough that I'm getting close enough to the decision and getting good input from my sideline, which is, when you're working with full-time refs, that tends to be better because they understand the gig a little bit better than the player ref who's, trying to get as much rest as they can because they're about to play another 40 minutes. So it's going to depend on who that sideline ref is.
Interesting.
Whether I go with a gut call or rely on their input, because sometimes when it's a player ref, that input takes a long time to get. I don't like when referees stop a game, go have a 2-minute conversation about a touch. It should be straightforward. Make a decision, and that goes back to my point earlier of make a decision. I'd rather you made a quick decision that was not quite correct than take forever to make the right decision.
A bit like VAR in football, right? It's the worst thing ever.
Yeah, it's a 20-minute game. If we're taking a third of that with referee conferences, nobody's having any fun. So yeah.
Thanks, mate.
Okay, that brings us on nicely to our lightning round of 6 touches, 6 questions.
Okay.
So the first question, what was the? I think you've answered, but we'll ask again. The first touch tournament you ever played in, or the first one you refereed? Because you told us the first one you played. Let's do the first one you refereed.
First one I refereed would have been an NTS up in Nottingham, I think. I mean, averages in England, it must have been Nottingham, right? But
Probably.
But yeah, I believe it was Nottingham or Oxford, something like that. Yeah, and that would have been 2008.
My next question: what was your go-to post-match meal? Is it a different if you've
KFC.
refed?
Yes, I'm with you all the way on this one, Stephen. All the way. What? Hey, listen, where we live in Valladolid, there's only one KFC one or two. It was introduced a couple of years ago. And what? I'm with you on that one, my friend, all the way.
Sorry, was it more of the question?
Fire, Mark. No. KFC, yeah, fair enough.
Love that.
Yeah, as well. I think Mark beats Mark's answer of a dirty kebab.
Oh, yeah, well, that as well.
Mark is a dirty kebab.
The next question: what is your favorite touch skill or move?
Favorite touch skill or move? It's supposed to be quick fire. I guess it's the guys who are confident as a player and get a nice spiral on the ball behind the back to center.
Yeah.
Right. The hardest team you've faced as a player, or the hardest team you've refereed?
Hardest team I faced as a player. That's going back away. It's been a long time since I've played, so that would have probably been something like the Hornets. Or no, actually, no, I didn't play in that league. Never mind, I only refed in that league. The hardest team to play would have been the Hornets in Bath, I guess, because I only played local league. And the second part was the best team to play.
Hardest team you've refed.
Hardest team I've refed. The team that I find challenging, and I like that.
Don't say relegated.
Oh no, nowhere near. Would probably be the Bath Hawks in the Bath League, because they are all young uni students. They all play at a reasonable level, and it's the challenge of keeping up as a 50-year-old, keeping up with these 20-year-olds. So it provides a different challenge. The decision making is not hard. It's keeping up with the play and getting to that to make those right decisions.
The most underrated player in the touch world at the moment.
The most underrated player in the touch world at the moment. It's probably going to have to be Jake Williams. Jacob, he's having shoulder surgery this weekend. I underrate him a lot. He does a lot in Wales. He probably deserves more credit than he gets.
Okay. And then the final question. If you could host a touch tournament anywhere in the world, where would it be?
If I could host it, well, I suppose it would be in Vancouver, where I grew up, at my rugby club.
Do you get? I suppose it's Canada. You get lots of snow in the winter. Would you take a winter in the snow or summer in the warm?
Vancouver is like here. It's grey and miserable, and by here I mean the UK, not where you guys are. It's grey and miserable in the winter, so it gets a lot of rain. So the rugby season is the same as the UK. The rest of Canada, yeah, you go 2 hours outside of Vancouver and it's snow. So we play that September to April season like in the UK. But everywhere else, rugby is a summer sport. So touch is a summer sport as well.
What's the touch scene like in Canada, Steve? Is it growing or is it kind of?
It is, but there was nothing really there when I left in 2007. So there's stuff that's appearing. They were at the last World Cup. And as with rugby in Canada, there are pockets, and those pockets, like Toronto and Montreal, are 8-hour drive apart. So they can't really develop together. It takes a bit of effort to get from one to the other just to do some stuff like that. And then, Vancouver's a 5-hour plane ride from Toronto. So it's hard to develop a national team when you've got those kinds of distance challenges.
Yeah, but rugby as a whole in Canada is growing. We had to just look at the Women's World Cup this year. They made it to the finals of 15s.
Yep, for the second time.
Rugby League used to have, Rugby League. There was the franchise, the Toronto Wolves were over there for a few years.
They were,
and they were playing in Super League.
Yeah, their sponsor was an airline, so they were able to, because I think that was part of the arrangement, was they had to subsidize the teams that were coming from the UK to play in Canada. And again, those games not the games, but the schedule had to be manipulated because you can't play rugby league in Canada at some times of the year because the ground is frozen. So it was a good experiment, but it's less popular than union is in Canada. It's not just a north-south divide like it is in the UK. It's you're competing with ice hockey, lacrosse, rugby, Canadian football, American football, all of those, basketball. Rugby league is probably further down the list than that. It's probably on a par with cricket, which is mostly played by expats in Canada. Like I've rarely met someone who was born in Canada who from a European background who knows anything about cricket.
They don't know much about cricket here in Spain either, mate. But Andy Kieran's joint coach in Getcho, co-coach. They play a little bit of cricket in their sports centre, their Polideportivo occasionally. But when
we have really bad weather.
You would think though, like in Spain here now where we live, please don't bring your shorts in January, Steve, and bring some warm coats, because where we are in Valladolid, it's fucking freezing. It's very similar to the UK in the winter. But yeah, you think in Spain in the summer that cricket, because obviously the heat, you would think that cricket would be quite popular, but nah. There's you said to like a young Spanish kid, what's cricket? They were like, it's an insect, right? It's kind of like
Is there any green space that exists that's got a football pitch on it?
Yeah, basically. Yeah. And they're mostly artificial. Anyway.
And it's Astro as well, yeah. I did the Phalanx tournament in Valencia quite a number of years ago. And yeah, it was interesting. You could tell who were locals because it was only 24 degrees. So they had coats and scarves and toques on. and you could tell who were the British tourists because it was 24 degrees, so they were in shorts and flip flops. So yeah,
sunburn as well.
We're actually where we are. You'll see in January, Stephen. We're actually very lucky. Our town hall, they built a specific rugby facility a couple of years ago, and it's pretty decent. The field's pretty decent. Both of them are. They spent a fair amount of money on it. So we're quite lucky where with our 4G it's decent 4G. It's not like the shitty burn your ass on the carpet kind of thing. But yeah,
that's another thing.
it is
As
a
a referee, I don't have to dive on the pitch at all. Don't have to deal with that.
Yeah, I don't do that either.
The pitch gets warm if it's black crumb.
Yeah, we've got black crumb, but we water it a lot, so it's kind of but it's all right. Anyway,
okay.
Did we actually answer that question in the end?
Yeah, I think the answer would be Vancouver. So there we go.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Stephen, I've just got one more thing for me to tell you. I was on the phone this morning to Steve Anderson, who's the head coach of the Banbury Saxons, and he's also the technical director for Six Starts. He helps us with the training and stuff and developing the players. And because if I don't tell you, he will kill me. He wants me to tell you that you're an absolute gentleman and you are the best referee that the Saxons have ever experienced in England. So when he listens to this, he knows he's also my best mate and godson to Lucas. So if I don't tell you this, he will punch me in the face. So I'm passing that message on to you now before I forget. All right. Yeah. So,
Kieran, I hope you edit this amazingly so that.
Yeah, no, this is going to stay in. So
absolutely
when there's a couple of dodgy decisions in favour of Banbury and you're refereeing the game, everyone knows that you've been butted up.
I actually think
it's more that that you edit the bit about him hating paella into.
Yeah. So we're doing this. We're doing this the same weekend that you're coming now in January, Stephen. I think the shootout. There's a possibility the Saxons are going to come and play. There's a possibility.
Okay.
So we shall see. Hopefully. Anyway, but I thought I'd pass that message on to you just so I don't forget. So there you go.
Duly noted. Thank you.
No problem, mate. No problem. Anyway, Kieran, over to you. Are we about done, or are we?
Yeah, we're done. I was gonna also
Find his lips.
Not got my head connected to my mouth today. Thank you for coming on, Stephen. It's been a pleasure. I hope that anyone listening to this can take away some insight into the world of refereeing, and if any of our future refs out there who are going to be doing the course review in January can learn anything from this, or just listening to you, or take something away from them, brilliant. And so thank you very much. Thank you, Mark, for being here as always.
I'm talking too much. Do you want to just quickly talk about who's coming up next, or do we want to leave that? Because I think Stephen probably knows this girl quite well. So
take it away.
In January, we are going to be, the third episode of this pod is going to be with Celestine Cici Cheong from the UK. Obviously, you know her quite well, Stephen. She knows you quite well. She's got a list of honours and caps and stuff as long as you're probably both your arms, and she's got quite a good backstory of kind of making a bit of a comeback in touch.
Yeah, the only thing longer than her list of honours is her list of injuries, but yeah.
Well, definitely don't edit that, right? Because she's going to watch this. But so she's going to come on in January. Really cool girl, unbelievable player, and probably one of the best girls I've seen play touch, to be fair. So yeah, she's coming on to look at it from a different perspective, from a player's point of view, because obviously you'll find out her story and what she's done and kind of who she's played for when we have a chat with her. So I'm quite excited to do that one. So there you go. I think we're done, right, boys?
Yeah. Thanks
so
for
Stephen,
having me.
thank you for me. No problem. Thank you for me. We'll keep in contact. We'll see you in a few weeks for this. If anyone wants to do a level 1 and level 2 course in Valladolid in Spain, check out our Instagram page at Six Starts Series, and we look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks.
All right, cheers. Take care, gents.
Kieran, thank you very much as always. You're a legend, and we'll speak later. Over and out.